Hello, and welcome to Thriving, Not Just Surviving, a series on the Family Renewed channel. I'm Dr. D, and my goal is to help you renew, restore, and revive your joy. Last week, we discussed trust and its importance in building relationships. We furthered this discussion by using the first B of the ABCs of Family Resiliency, broadening your faith, starting with yourself to build trust. This week, as we continue this month's focus on calculated chaos, we remember Martin Luther King Jr.'s words, "People who have a stake in their society protect that society, but when they don't have it, they unconsciously want to destroy it." In other words, we must be intentional if we want to work, if we want this society to work, and we want positive change in our relationships, whether personal, business, or political. So what do you want? Well, if you want to learn some strategies to create positive change in your world, stay tuned. But first, do you remember how we do it? That's right. We're going to start by completing those 3 positivity prompts if you haven't already done so. So take out your journal and write your responses to these 3 prompts. One thing I like about myself is, one good thing that happened this past week was, and one thing I'm thankful for would be. Now, as you write your responses today, I want you to remember that not only will the positive energy from your responses give you added strength to fight against the negativity you will encounter today, it will hold precious thoughts that can give you strength to fight the battles that you will face tomorrow. So, continue this practice every week and strengthen your superpower defense against the negativity around you. We all have it, right? Now, go ahead and put your pens down and let's talk about how we need trust to have conversations that move us forward. Now, in this session, I will once again share how our relationships can be renewed, restored, and revived with the ABCs of Family Resiliency. Last week, I focused on headlines in the media, but this week, I want to focus on events commemorating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday and his legacy. Now, the first is Reverend Bernice King's message in her MLK Day address at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. So she tells us, quote, "We can no longer afford the convenience of technology without the inconvenience of moral integrity because, as the Prophet King warned us, we are in danger of destroying ourselves in the misuse of our own instruments," end quotes. So basically, the technology of media and social media platforms has moved from a means of connection to a tool for divisiveness. So where do we go from here? Well, that brings me to another MLK Day commemoration, and it was a community breakfast sponsored by the O'Fallon NAACP and hosted by New Life in Christ Interdenominational Church in O'Fallon, Illinois. Now, the keynote speaker, Bishop Jeffrey V. Dudley, spoke of the importance of taking King's message beyond our tribes or groups into all your spaces to make a change and realize Dr. King's dream. Now, our tribes are great at their best. They're comfortable, supportive, and a respite from the negativity around us. In our tribes or clubs or organizations or friend groups, we are with like-minded people with the same interests, goals, and often the same core beliefs. But unfortunately, these groups often become silos or echo chambers, where for the most part, we all agree on the things we value or we consider important. So Bishop Dudley reminds us in his message that to make change and to realize King's dream, we must go outside our tribes or echo chambers and dialogue with others who may not share the same beliefs and bring King's message with us into these conversations. Now, the reality is we must be able to see things from another's perspective and listen and be heard. Relationships are about compromise and communication. Now, relationships won't survive if we take the stance, it's my way or the highway. So let's go to the second B in the ABCs of Family Resiliency, which is building our resources. Now, resources are multi-layered, but in this particular situation, I want to focus on getting out of our comfort zones. Now, if you remember, I mentioned last week, if each of us focuses on how we can be better people or better humans, we can all have happier and healthier lives. And we can all thrive, not just survive. So, taking things one step further, in order to move out of your comfort zone, you need to trust the environment that you're in. So, finding and creating opportunities to do just that is very important. Now, remember last week, we were talking about building trust and how it starts with gaining a stronger sense of self and surrounding ourselves with positivity. Now, let's take a hard look at our surroundings. Are these groups positive and productive and proactive, or Are they negative, restrictive, and reactive? Now, how does this group approach conflict or disagreement? How does this group compromise? Now, at the same time, this group, whether positive or negative, is likely going to become a silo or echo chamber because we're insulated from the outside world. We're communicating with each other. And if you want to create meaningful change, you need to dialogue with other groups who also have an interest in making meaningful change. And here you can find ways that you can work together. Now, building slowly a level of trust that can ultimately grow into discussions around disagreements or different beliefs that may be more challenging, but this is all in order to be able to make and create meaningful work. Now, another way to build your resources is by allowing healthy conversations with someone who may have a different belief or thought process than you. You may find opportunities at work, on boards, in meetings, in public spaces, the grocery store. Now, take the time to listen and not jump to defense mode. You might be surprised at what you learn about someone who has different beliefs or perspectives, or maybe even a different value system than you. Remember, we are all coming into relationships with different experiences, different motives, and different concerns. No two people have the same experience and will have different needs and wants. But if we can step out of our comfort zone, our silos and echo chambers, we might learn something that could help heal each other and create a healthier place for each of us where we can all thrive and not just survive. Now, lastly, consider listening to other podcasts or media outlets with an open mind, or even reviewing social media platforms. Now, try not to jump to conclusions and assume what they're saying or what they're going to say, but try to listen from a neutral perspective in the context of knowing that this is someone who may have different beliefs than you. Remember, our experiences shape our beliefs, and we all have different experiences and different situations in our lifetime. Now, we need to honor these differences, not castigate them or the person behind them just because they have a different perspective than you. Communication is the key to compromise, and if we all want to protect our society, we can find common ground without destroying each other in the process. So, as we close out today's segment on strengthening trust and building our resources, I want you to focus on three things. The three things we discussed today. So 1, take a hard look at your tribe, clubs, and organizations. So is it proactive and positive or reactive and negative? Or are you in an echo chamber? 2, find common ground with someone outside of your tribe. And 3, expose yourself to other media outlets or platforms with an open mind. Give the grace that you would want them to give you. Now, I hope today gave you a lot to think about, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we review the calculated chaos in our world and some of the strategies that we have discussed this past month. Now, this is Dr. D signing off, and if today's segment resonated with you, please click the like button below, subscribe to my channel, and join me, Dr. D, next week for some more tools to use in your journey towards thriving, not just surviving. Bye.